We're talking about the evolution of LinkedIn and just these social platforms and just things in general. Walk me through that moment when you realized LinkedIn was shifting again and you made adjustments to your approach because everyone has their own version of stories. I would say universally, we all have things that worked a year ago or a few months ago that doesn't work the same way now. So, how do you distinguish between a rough patch and then something that's actually a fundamental shift?
So I would say there's been different iterations and evolutions of how LinkedIn works. It's
Hmm.
the oldest of the social media platforms. The beta version launched in 2001, and it was then opened up to everyone in 2002. So it's over 20 years old. And for me, I got in there in 2009 for different purposes. It was basically just for visibility for at that time in my business career, I had a few brick and mortar fitness clubs.
Okay.
And then 2013 was when I really started to leverage it from a client acquisition standpoint and then obviously coaching.
Hmm.
I would say it in the last 18 months, I've seen the platform change more dramatically
Yeah.
than in the past 13 years. And the reason why I say this, it almost I could see it coming in all honesty
Hmm.
because a lot of people pick up on trends and
Hmm.
easy buttons. And for anyone that has spent any time on LinkedIn, they've probably received and at some point or not those 18 paragraph long drunkalog verbal vomit messages of people selling and pitching and book a link and here whatever it is. So the old school mentality was the message game.
Hmm.
So connecting and messaging, connecting and messaging, connecting and messaging. And there's still a lot of LinkedIn strategists that teach that. They
Yeah.
play this numbers game, but I have this reminder of, just a simple quote, never stop farming.
Yeah.
Because there's two mentalities. There's the hunter mentality and there's the farmer mentality. The hunter mentality is just going in for the kill, not even caring about the relationship, just
Mhm.
blindly just going for it. But that farmer mentality, if you think about what it actually takes to reap a harvest and the cycle of that, you have to plant the seed, right? You have to make sure that the soil and the fertilizer is right. You have to make sure that um, whatever's in the soil is fruitful for that seed to then grow and flower and blossom.
Mhm.
And it takes months, years. It takes a long time for something to come to fruition. So there's been this really big shift over the last year and a half of people moving away from the spray and pray methodology where they're just
Yeah.
connecting, messaging, but now they're doing more farming, which is the appropriate way to go about business.
Mhm.
And again, I spend a lot of time on the platform each day, every day. It's something I teach, I consult, I speak upon. So I see all the changes and I report when I see a change. And I would say for me, what is driving the most business success right now on LinkedIn, yes, it's predicated on the quality of the connections that you have,
Mhm.
but to allow the tipping point to take place, it's the quality of your content. If your content stinks, no one's going to engage, which means you have no way to nurture and, bring people closer to you. And that's why one of the main focuses that I have with my one-to-one clients, my group coaching clients, my community members is going all in with high quality content that
Mhm.
educates, that informs, that tells stories, that brings people closer to you instead of pushing them further away.
Absolutely. I think what you're touching on is the customer journey and the path of the customer journey. There are people that have, I joke where I said, sometimes people will call me and I'm like, you're still using that sales script from like the 80s and 90s. I know it so well. I was actually on a call with someone and he did it on a Zoom session where he
Mhm.
actually had, I'm assuming it's what he called his mentor, but I just said like that guy was like the worst thing for him because he actually showed up on the call. And he like the moment you bring someone else on the call, in my mind, and I'll bring it to like an East Coast thing, he sunned him on his own call. And I'm like, I can't take you seriously if you have to bring this person on to be able to
Mhm.
speak for you. So
Yeah.
um customer journey wise and sales wise, I think it's important to not just know what you want to be able to accomplish, but the real goal is figuring out how to be able to shorten the sales cycle.
Right.
And by having things where you're creating value and you understand your audience, those are going to be things that allow you to be able to get to that meaningful and significant conversation a lot faster. We talked about AI, and or at least I mentioned it. What I'm looking at is AI raised the floor, but it's also setting the expectations. So now people aren't as impressed by just the older standards. They have to start looking at new ways to be able to do something because AI basically just said, okay, I'm going to process everything that everyone's been doing, and then I'll take that and say, okay, well, here's how you can. Here's an output. But the thing is, with the input is the output is only as good as the input. If you don't know what to be able to give it, it's going to give you something generic to come out of, and then I think that goes back to what you're talking about with value, because if you're not giving it enough to be able to work with, if you can't tell it who your audience is, and I'm not talking about like the demographics, I'm talking about the psychographics where you can get into more details, then it puts them in a position where you're going to get generic information. And then that's why when we look on the feed, there's a lot of things that look exactly the same. And this is one of those opportunities where I think it's hurting some people, but that's just actually helping other people